Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity in the Heart, a spiritual center in the heart of the Twin Cities. We are so very grateful for everyone who is joining us today at the service and in person, and anyone also who is watching remotely. Together, we all make a community, whether present or at a safe distance. Today's service team consists of Dennis Curley, our resident pianist, Donna First, our guest musician, and our song leaders, Peggy George and Dennis, and our prayer chaplain is Warren, who will be on duty afterwards in the back. And we're delighted to welcome back Reverend Lisa, who will be our speaker and meditation leader for today. My name is Twyla Anderson, and I'm your platform assistant. And now, Reverend Lisa will lead us in our opening prayer, followed by our first congregational song.
Thank you. Thank you, Twyla. I invite you now to gently close your eyes, if that's comfortable for you. Take a gentle breath in, and let's bring our attention together within, to that quiet, still, certain place where the comings and goings of the world are quieted, where the thoughts of our mind just drift by. This is a place of rest. And turning within to this place, we recognize and we claim the power of the divine presence, which is our very life and essence, and is the very life and essence of everything that is. By claiming this power, we step in to the light and love that we are, and we extend this light and love to the light and love that the other is. And we begin to see that we are indeed all connected. And God expressing in this world. And now let's claim that vision for everyone in the world. As we see peace come forth. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Lisa. It's nice to see you again. Both of our songs today are in the White Book. The first is number 14, Let God Be Seen in Me. Let's open the White Book to number 14, and let's stand and sing together, Let God Be Seen in Me. Let the world see the light of God in me, the light of God in me, the light of God in me. Let the world see the light of God in me. Let God's light be seen in me. Let the world see the love of God in me, the love of God in me, the love of God in me. Let the world see the love of God in me. Let God's love be seen in me. Let the world see the peace of God in me, the peace of God in me, the peace of God in me. Let the world see the peace of God in me. Let God's peace be seen in me. Let God's peace be seen in me. Thank you. You can be seated.
A few announcements this morning. The first is that today, Sunday, September 19, immediately following service, we will have our annual picnic at Newell Park, which is at the corner of Fairview and Pierce Butler. If you want to still join us, bring your own bag lunch. Bottled water and picnic ware will be provided. All are welcome. Then on Sunday, October 17, following Sunday service will be Unity in the Heart 20th anniversary celebration and community meeting downstairs at the temple. Please save the date. And I think that's it, unless anybody else has an announcement.
Nothing new today.
Okay.
I'll repeat what I said last time.
Okay.
We're going to be doing in this room Greg Iden's show, War of the Worlds. It's a musical and a radio show all in one. What? That's not possible. And he promises to bring all sorts of promotional materials next week, and he will distribute all of the information. It will go out through the electronic channels sometime this week as well.
Thank you. We will now recite our affirmation of faith. There is one and only one presence and power active in my life and in the universe, the all-loving, wise Spirit of God. Let's also recite our vision statement for Unity in the Heart. Led by Spirit, we recognize God within everyone as we co-create infinite love, peace, and abundance in our global community. The daily word for Sunday, September 19, is free. Living from my divine nature frees me. Sometimes I feel limited when I don't think I have enough time, money, space, education, or experience. These thoughts can occupy so much space in my mind that I begin to think limitation is the truth of life. The greater truth is that I am free and unlimited in spirit. Alive in God, I am free to express all the love, wisdom, and strength of the divine as only I can. What joy and liberation it is to know that nothing can separate me from my true spiritual nature. If I believe any circumstance in my life or any of my past actions obstruct or delay my spiritual progress, I now release that belief. Embracing and living from the divine presence, the Christ within me, I claim freedom from all limitation. In him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17, verse 28. And now we'll have our second congregational song.
Thanks, Twyla. The second one, as I said, is also in the White Book. It's number 10, God Heals Me. Let's find number 10 in the White Book, stand and sing this together. Sort of towards the end, second to last line, I will sort of, well, it's not sort of, I will definitely holler out, let's go back to the beginning, and we'll sing it twice. When I am weary, God heals me. When I am empty, Spirit fills me. When the light at the end of the tunnel I cannot see, just when it seems I can't go on, when I feel that I'm all alone, I surrender to an almighty power, and God heals me. Let's jump back to the beginning here. When I am weary, God heals me. When I am empty, Spirit fills me. When the light at the end of the tunnel I cannot see, just when it seems I can't go on, when I feel that I'm all alone, I surrender to an almighty power, and God heals me. I surrender to an almighty power, and God heals me. Thank you. You can be seated.
The Unity Movement was founded on prayer. We would now like to focus our attention on our prayer needs today. Please take a moment to bring to mind any prayers that you may have. Your prayer may be a prayer of joy or gratitude, a prayer of concern for yourself or another, or anything that is close to your heart right now. Now let us pray together. Our loving God, we know that all prayers are answered in the perfect way in time. Our hearts and minds are filled with divine spirit as we feel the presence and power of God working through us. We affirm the highest good in all situations. Those present, please place your prayer notes in the basket at offering time or in the prayer box after service. We will hold them in prayer for 30 days and then send them to Silent Unity. Also, anyone may send a prayer request to our prayer chaplains at unityintheheart@gmail.com. And now we welcome Donna first.
Okay. Thank you for welcoming me. The first piece is an old hymn that I grew to love very much, that was made very popular by a gentleman now known as Yusuf Islam, but I think we all remember him as Cat Stevens. So I'm going to play Morning is Broken.
Thank you, Donna, for sharing that timeless song on such a beautiful instrument. And now Lisa will lead us in a message and followed by a meditation.
Thank you for that beautiful song or music. It's just what I needed to hear to come into this talk. You have to give me a moment to get used to how far I can walk with this microphone. There we go. I think I can head over this way. So good morning, everyone. As you heard, I'm Reverend Lisa Herklot, and so grateful to Reverend Ray for continuing to offer me opportunities to come and speak here. I always love to visit St. Paul. Today's talk is really following a theme that Reverend Ray started out of the book by Brene Brown called Rising Strong. Now, I have a great appreciation for Brene Brown because she's really bringing out into the awareness, I believe for a collective consciousness, the ability to become vulnerable. And I truly see this as a spiritual step of maturity. So I really see this as part of our own spiritual process. So I have a great appreciation for the work that she does and what she's bringing to our world right now because it's so needed. Now, the chapter that I have is all about storytelling. And when I first thought about that, I immediately thought of a friend of mine who used to dress up. This is many years ago. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he used to dress up in a pirate outfit and go to the elementary schools, and he would tell stories with so much passion and drama and inspiration. And I thought, okay, well, that's what a storyteller is. I don't really think I'm a storyteller. But then I started listening to my own thoughts. I started listening to what was going on in my own mind all day long and realized, wow, I'm telling a lot of stories. So I started to connect to what she was talking about here because stories are very important because stories play a powerful role in our lives and in our worldly existence. And one of the things that I got out of her chapter was that the idea that we're wired for story is more than a catchy phrase. Neuroeconomist Paul Zak has found that hearing a story, a narrative with a beginning, middle, and end, causes our brains to release cortisol and oxytocin. These chemicals trigger the uniquely human abilities to connect, empathize, and make meaning. So she's saying story is literally in our DNA. And as I began to look at how I'm making stories, I realize how important stories are for us to communicate to each other and to give meaning to the experiences that we're having in this world. So we are all storytellers. But what stories are we telling? I want to jump into unity principle number 3 because it ties in perfectly with storytelling. Because what is principle number 3 except that we have a very, very powerful ability through our thoughts when they are fueled with our emotions and they are focused with attention and intention. They become the story we live and manifest in our world. The thoughts held in mind produce in kind, unity's third principle. So this is, let me even go to what Charles Fillmore says about thought. He says, the one and only formative power given to humankind is thought. I just want to take a moment to let that sink in. The only formative power given to humankind is thought. By our thinking, we not only make character, our personality, who we think we are in the world, but body and affairs. So everything we experience in physical form and the experiences that we have in our life are manifested through our thoughts. For as I thinketh within myself, so am I. I'm getting used to standing in one spot, so give me a moment to get used to this. Now, I'd like to share a personal story with you here. As I started to think about storytelling and how I have lived that in my own life. When I was a child, I was raised in a family that was followed a very patriarchal model. I had a dad, I had 2 brothers, and we lived next door to a family that we were very close to, we grew up with, that had 3 boys. So I had a lot of dominant males in my young life. And I didn't really like feeling restricted to the role that I was being laid on me, or at least that's how it felt. So I pushed back quite often. And when I did, it was usually met through the males in my family with either gentle ribbing to ridicule to criticism and judgment. So this is how I grew up. And based on this experience, I created a story within myself that I needed to prove I could be more than that. But underneath that was really a sense that I wasn't worthy, that I didn't have the ability. So this carried me through into my young adult life until I finally started doing my own self-work. And I began to discover who I was authentically and who I was as a spiritual being. And I also practiced a lot of forgiveness and acceptance and letting go. And through that, I was able to establish a much healthier relationship with my father and with my brothers. And it changed my life. And then years later, I got a call that Monty, who was the father of the other family, had passed away, and I was being invited to come to the funeral. And of course, I said yes. And I was on the phone with Mark, who's the older brother of that family. And I could hear in the background my dad was already there with them. And I heard him make a comment about me, and everyone started laughing. And I'm not even sure if I remember what that comment was, but I had an immediate, visceral reaction. It was as if all those years of self-work just disappeared, and I was that young girl once again being held down and held back and restricted. I couldn't believe it. And I got off the phone, and it was so strong in me that I didn't even want to go. I went to Jim, I said, I don't want to go. I don't want to step back into that. And I know I can see how it's going to be, and I don't want to do that. But this was too important a ceremony to not show up. So I did get on the plane. I was sitting on the plane, feeling in every part of my body this anxiety and stress. And I'm sitting there, and finally, this thought comes through that says, wait a minute. This is an old story. This is an old story. So I'm going to come back to that story, but let's go back right now to Brené Brown. Because one of the things she says is the only decision we get to make is what role we'll play in our own lives. And she asked the question, do you want to write your own story? Or are you going to take on a story that someone else has written? And what I think she means by that is, am I choosing the story that has meaning for me, that aligns with my authentic self, or am I picking up stories that I've heard others share or have laid on me, and I make them my own? Because I have that choice. I've always had that choice. She goes on to say that choosing your own story means it's going to get uncomfortable, and it's going to take some courage. And I thought for a minute, well, why is that? Because if I get to choose my own story, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be easy? Well, and here's why. Because we have accumulated stories that aren't true or don't work for us anymore. And our tendency, certainly mine has been, to disown the stories of my falls and my failures, or the ones where I feel small, and only share the stories that make me look good, because then I feel more acceptable to the world, more spiritual perhaps even. But it's not really true, because how can I live a wholehearted life if there's these stories I haven't faced yet, that I've disowned, and yet they're still there? And that's why this process, it takes some work. Because in order to recreate our story, we have to go back and own the stories we have hidden from ourselves. And that's where the courage comes in. In her book, Rising Strong, and the title Rising Strong, it really is referencing the fact that we're going to fall. Falling down, having a failure, missing the mark, that's part of this human experience. But it doesn't have to be the end or the defining point. It's where we learn. And so the rising process is really talking about when you fall down, how do you get up in a way that you rise strong? That it becomes a powerful, transformative experience that you grow and mature through. That's what her process is all about. And it has 3 stages to it. It's called the, I love it, it's called the Rising Strong process. And the 3 stages of it are reckoning, rumble, and revolution. We got a lot of rolling R's there. Reckoning, rumble, revolution. Now, the reckoning stage has to do with walking. She calls it walking the story. And that's really starting to recognize when you have emotions and energy coming up, when you are not feeling like you are living in joy and freedom and liberation. You need to recognize that you're walking a story. There's some story going on in your mind. Just like the way I did when I was sitting on that plane, I recognized, wait a minute, I've stepped into an old story. And I'm walking it now, because now I'm engaging in the world from this place of anxiety and stress and a sense of not worthy. The second stage is called the rumble, and this is owning your story. Because now I can sit and say, well, wait a minute. I'm the one that has chosen to walk this story. I'm the one that's taken it on, and now I'm walking it. So let me own it. When I feel these emotions, what am I really feeling and why? How are these connected to what I'm thinking and how I'm behaving? Now I'm examining the story that I have taken on and recognized as my own. Then the good part, the revolution, how you can turn it around, because you get to write a new ending. I get to write a new ending. We are never trapped in the stories that we've been telling ourselves, but we do have to recognize we've been telling ourselves stories. And now we recognize that we can make a change. And we do that through recognizing the power of our thoughts. That we are in control of our mind and our thoughts. So, in the revolution, by being able to write a new story, it's being informed by the first 2 stages of recognizing you're walking a story and then owning that story. And that's really where the work is. And then you get to write a new ending. And the new ending you write, because the story you are living from is how you show up in the world. It's how you engage in the world. So when you change that story, your whole life can be transformed. It doesn't necessarily mean the whole world will be transformed. You may still find some challenging situations, but how you engage in them can be completely different. So I have 3 points I just want to use to kind of summarize these ideas of our storytelling and the power that we have with these. The first one is, remember who and what you are first. Because centering there will have everything to do with the kind of story you tell yourself. I talked about Unity's third principle, but I want to point out it's the third principle. There are 2 principles before that one. And I find it's really important to remember these first 2 before I get to the third. Because what's the first one? It's in your affirmation or your vision. There is only one power and one presence. That is God, or all good, or wholeness, or light, or spirit. And principle 2 is, I am that. I am light, love, and wholeness expressing. When I'm centered there, and then I go into the third principle, now I'm going to be writing a story from the truth of who I am. And now I've got something that aligns authentically with who I know I am and what I am. Unity offers many tools for this, right? We have prayer, we have meditation, we have the activity of denials and affirmations. And these are all powerful tools we offer to recreate a story that is aligned with the truth of you and the truth of me. So the next point I wanted to summarize is that knowing you're a storyteller, it's important to look at what story you're telling yourself. What stories am I telling myself? I have to laugh. Jim's my husband, we live up in St. Cloud. It's farmland everywhere. Neither one of us have ever lived on a farm. We know zero about farming. But we drive around and we look at all the fields and the growth patterns and the plow, and we just make up all kinds of stories. I just had to laugh the other day because we're going, oh yeah, that corn's only that high probably because of the drought and and oh they've already taken that crop down probably because, well, maybe that's feed for the cattle. And it's like we have bits and pieces of information, and then we just create a story out of it. Now it's kind of funny because we just laugh because we both know neither of us has any clue if what we're saying is valid. So we wear it very lightly. But I am aware there are some stories I make up that way that I take a lot more seriously. And those are the ones I need to question and ask myself, is it true? Is it really true? Crucial Conversations is a book study I did not too long ago, and one of the powerful points I got out of it was when I'm in the middle of a crucial conversation is one which is charged with emotion and energy and in some kind of disagreement. And how do you continue keeping an open channel of communication? And one of the things it says is, question your story. What story are you telling yourself about the conversation, and is it really true? What parts of it are true and what parts are not? Or what parts do you not know are true? Very powerful. And one of the things I want to mention here too is that this stage requires deep work. I was at the Pride Festival yesterday in St. Cloud, and somebody was talking to me about unity, and they said, some people feel like unity is just too superficial because it teaches that you just, say a positive affirmation and poof, everything's going to be okay. And I'm thinking, well, that's not really all of it. But I understand where that perception comes from, right? And I want to be clear that it is very powerful, affirmations, but you can't forget the denials. And there is deep work that has to be done because we have stories we've hidden from ourselves. And those have to come forward so they can be looked at and reevaluated as whether they're really a part of you or not. And when those are released, you become a wide open book again. Finally, you get to decide what you want your story to be. For me, it always begins by centering in the truth of who and what you are. Principle 1 and 2. Remember first who and what you are as a spiritual being, expressing God through a human experience. Start there, and then call upon this amazing faculty you have called imagination. And utilize that to imagine the possibilities of what you can do and be when you are authentically you. So I want to go back to my story of sitting on the plane and feeling all the anxiety and finally having this one clear thought come through that says, wait a minute, you've just picked up an old story. And I thought, this is not who I am anymore. And then I went, what do I really want? What do I really want from this situation? When I get off that plane and I engage with this family situation, how do I want it to feel and how do I want it to flow? And I began to visualize that. And it was not that easy. It took me I had to continue to visualize it because that fear kept popping up. And I said, no, I want it to be easy. And I want us to connect. And I want there to be respect and care and love. And I said that and thought about it and I visualized it until I could see it happening easily. And I said, this is my new story. And when I got off that plane, that is exactly how that weekend went. So much so that my jaw kind of hit the ground a couple of times because it was pretty dramatic. It doesn't always happen that way, but in this case, it was very dramatic. So I know the power of our thoughts and the stories that we tell ourselves. And this is an incredible practice to recognize and begin to own the power you have to rewrite your story if it doesn't feel true and authentic to you. If it is not allowing you to live a wholehearted life, you get to make a change. Thank you very much.
In the silence, there is a sacred place, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends, and every rainbow ends, good is there. In the light now you find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there, peace is there, truth is there, God is there.
I invite you to gently close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. as we take a little journey into the silence, into the sacred center of our own being, where we remember who and what we are in the light of truth. So take a nice, easy breath in and a slow, gentle exhale out. Feel your shoulders drop a little as your body relaxes, knowing that for just the next few minutes, you are safe, you can be at ease, and you can open yourself to a deeper part of you that knows divinity and wholeness. Feel yourself move into that space. And if it feels right for you, open your heart and your mind to discover what stories you might have been telling yourself that no longer fit the life you want to lead. You don't have to think hard about it. Just use the question to open your mind, and then listen. Just listen as we move into the silence. And when you are ready, gently begin to bring your awareness back to the room. Feel your body in the seat. Feel the breath in and out. If a story came to you, let that just be for a moment. It might be something you continue to explore. If a story didn't come to you, let this moment of peace be perfect just as it is. Because whatever we need to know, it will come to us. And as we come to a close in the meditation, we remember I have the power to rewrite the story I live. I have the power to rewrite the story I'm living. I have the power to rewrite the story I am living. And I am filled with gratitude. So it is. Namaste.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still, be still, be still, and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still, be still, be still, and know that I am God.
Thank you, Reverend Lisa, for being with us today and sharing that, as always, very pertinent message and meditation. Now is the time when we acknowledge that all we have comes to us from God, our source. With our gifts, we express our openness to give and receive and our gratitude for God's generous supply.
My gift goes forth on the wings of love, and it lands where it can heal and bless. It returns to me, multiplied 1,000-fold, as the universe says yes, yes, as the universe says yes.
Let's join together in our affirmation for gifts, which is printed in your bulletin. Together, divine love and wisdom flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. Let's join together in the blessing of our gifts. With grateful hearts, we bless our gifts and say, "Thank you, God, for the abundant blessings we enjoy." We release our gifts as they go out into the world, expressing God's unlimited love, abundance, and supply. For those who wish to contribute electronically, you will find a donate button on our webpage after the service, or you may mail your contributions to Unity in the Heart, 1898 Eaglehart Avenue, St. Paul, Minnesota. And now we welcome back Donna for her second selection.
So the second song I'm going to play is Simple Gifts, otherwise known as the Shaker Song. But I'm actually going to be playing it on something called a Davidic harp. So this is what David would have played for King Saul to ease his anxiety so that he could sleep at night. This is also the harp that I use in my hospice work, playing for people who are in the later stages of death. So if you want to help me feel more comfortable, close your eyes, lean back, and don't move much.
Thank you, Donna. And thank you all for your presence with us today. We at Unity in the Heart hold you in the light of God's love during the upcoming week. Let's close by singing the peace song and reciting the prayer for protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me, let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.